All right, everybody, in this video, we're gonna be talking about the IUL versus a traditional term life policy and which one is better for you. First things first, let's break down the differences between a term life policy and an IUL. So a term life policy is the life insurance policy that 99% of people are already familiar with. This is the type of policy that you purchase normally through your job or, just wherever from any life insurance agent. And you get this policy so that if you were to die, your kids or your spouse would get cut a check. Normally to be able to cover any liabilities, any debts that you might have, also just to kind of help the family due to the loss of your income because obviously you passed away. But there are some drawbacks to the term life policy. They always expire. They are temporary life insurance, which is why it's called term life. There's only a certain term that they are valid for. Normally it's 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, or obviously the 5 years in between, like 15 and 25 years. So the thing that kind of sucks about a term life policy is, for me, if I am 22 years old and I get a 20-year policy, then when I am 42 years old, that policy will have expired. Well, let's just say at age 41 or at age 40 or 39 or something, I got diagnosed with some type of disease or some type of illness or whatever it may be, and then 2 years later, my policy expires. I won't be able to get approved for another life insurance policy. Another thing that a lot of people don't like about term life policies is the fact that, let's just say I did go ahead and live throughout that time period, that 20 years, from 22 to 42. I didn't pass away, I didn't get diagnosed with any diseases or anything like that, and I lived, right? Nothing. I basically got that term life policy for no reason, and all that money that I put and paid towards that policy just basically disappears, right? Thank goodness that I didn't have to use it, because the only reason why you would use it is if you passed away. So obviously, you're grateful, you're happy that you didn't have to use it, but at the same time, you're basically betting against your death, right? So those are kind of the things that I personally am not a fan of, and that a lot of the individuals who I talk to, a lot of my clients are not fans of when talking about the term life policy. So this is a big reason why a lot of individuals and clients of mine reach out to me and want to move their term life or get rid of their term life and go into the IUL. The reason for that is because the IUL is permanent life insurance. I got an IUL when I was 20, and I will now be forever insured for the rest of my life, and my IUL policy will never expire, and I will never not be insured, unless I cancel the policy, obviously. But what's really cool is because I got it at such a young age, and I'm obviously healthy now, and I was, probably a little bit healthier 2 years ago, I got a very good rate. Great height to weight ratio, no previous medical, records, literally have nothing on my medical records. So I got approved at the highest risk class. So now moving forward for the rest of my life, I don't ever have to worry about not being covered. And the great thing is that if I were to sign that contract for that life insurance policy, the next day I got diagnosed with like some type of terminal illness or something, it doesn't matter. The policy's already in force. I could get a disease or whatever it may be, chronic illness, terminal illness, or anything like that from now until the time I pass away, and the life insurance company is not just gonna cancel my policy on me just because I got sick. They can't do that. Another super cool thing about the IUL is that you're able to go ahead and dip into your death benefit if you get terminally ill, chronically ill, or critically ill. You can't take the entire thing, but you can take portions of it to help compensate for lost wages due to you being not able to work or on disability or whatever it may be. And another really cool thing is that you're not putting your money basically towards nothing. Your contributions per month are going into a cash value accumulation account. Think of this account as just a high yield savings account. Imagine you went and opened up a high yield savings account And let's just pretend that with that high yield savings account, they also gave you a term life policy, except that that term life policy never expires. That's kind of like what the IUL is. It's like a hybrid between a Roth IRA, a high yield savings account, and a term life policy, all kind of bundled up into one hybrid account. And that is just a really, brief overview of the IUL and the term life policy. If you want more in-depth information on the IUL, how it works, and term life policies, then I have a bunch of other videos on my channel explaining that further, but that was just a high level overview. So now that we've gone over the high level overview of term life and the IUL, let's discuss really quick when the IUL or when term life makes sense for you. So if you are somebody who has children, for example, and you want to contribute money into an account that gets a higher yield of interest for your children for a college fund, but you don't want to put it in a 529 account because obviously so many more kids these days are not going to college just due to the fact that you can make so much money online and college really isn't like a necessity anymore. You don't want to risk the fact that they don't go to college. You just funded this entire 529 account and then now get hit with a bunch of penalties because they didn't end up proceeding into college. So then you'd be able to use your IUL as a college fund. If you are somebody who is already maxing out your 401k, already maxing out your Roth IRA, and you also want to contribute to another supplemental retirement account, then you can tack on the IUL. If you are somebody who does not want to put your money in the traditional bank account or a CD just because you're getting such a small, tiny percentage of interest, or if you don't want to throw your money into the stock market because you are not okay with the amount of risk and the volatility that goes into the stock market, and you want your money in a vehicle that earns a high yield of interest tax-free with zero market risk, then the IUL would make sense for you. If you are somebody who's over the age of about 62, then the IUL wouldn't really make sense for you. There's not enough time for compound interest to really work its magic. And again, you're a lot older, so the cost of insurance is going to be much higher for that individual. And so the cost of insurance being that high with a lack of time for compound interest to really do its thing, you're really not going to see a ton of growth in that policy, and it's just not really a good idea. If you want coverage, then I will just get a 30-year term life. It is going to be a little bit more expensive just simply because, again, your age, but at least you're covered from age 62 to 92. Another time where term would make more sense is if you are an individual who's really pinching pennies right now and you just cannot contribute a significant amount of money into your IUL. I always say, take your age and put a 0 behind it, and that is the minimum amount that you would want to contribute into your IUL per month. So if you're somebody who's 30 years old and you cannot afford to save an extra $300 a month into an IUL, but you can afford a $30 term life policy, and you just want some coverage, then you can absolutely do that. It's better to have some life insurance coverage than to have absolutely nothing. And that about wraps it up for this video today, guys. I hope that you got some value from this. If you want to go ahead and open up an IUL, I invite you to click the link down below in the description to go ahead and book a free IUL consultation with me. I can run some illustrations for you, show you what the projected numbers would look like for a specific IUL tailored for you. And if you guys notice, I don't do any ads, I don't do any sponsorships on this channel. So the only fee that I ask you guys to pay is just to give this video a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you don't miss any future videos.